Smile. You're listening to Heartbeat Radio 104.1 FM.
You better be smiling because you are indeed tuned into Heartbeat Radio. 2 minutes after the hour of 9 o'clock. Welcome to our fourth and final hour here inside the Heartbeat Sunrise with Salene. Hope your morning's going well. You had breakfast and all of that, because we are about to chat with MENO-TT. Gillian Smith-Trumpet is one of the co-founders and board members of MENO-TT, a group of women coming together to talk about menopause, being very real and open as possible. And that is exactly what we need in a time when you're getting to that part of your life. There's so many gray areas where that is concerned. Gillian and I will be chatting about that in a short while. And you also know, coming up in this hour, we have our Throwback Thursday hit selection, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well. Menopause. Gillian, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Salene. I am great, thank you.
You better be great.
I was just dancing to that is 80s tune. Baby,
well,
don't hurt
on the
me.
remix.
And I was just grooving in the background, bringing up some really, really good memories.
I love it. I love it. And that is one of the things that we do as it pertains to managing menopause. But before we get into that, I want to congratulate you and the team of MENO-TT for taking the opportunity to champion that cause, to create a community where women have a safe space to just let it all out, like literally let it all out when it comes to talking about menopause. And I saw on your about for the group, you're talking about peri-menopause and post-menopause. So let's talk about that for a moment, because oftentimes a lot of women, we don't know when it started or when it's going to start. If it is something hereditary, you look at your mom's age to see when you should start as well. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Sure, no problem. Well, funny you should mention that, because last night I was doing a little bit of research, and there's something called pre-menopause. And pre-menopause starts the moment you start to have a period. Now, you see our research is changing.
Yeah.
Because I never knew that. And it's just doing research yesterday. I found that out. So your body starts to prepare you from the day that you are having a menstrual cycle.
So that's from about age 11, somewhere there?
Yes, so that is pre-menopause. So you realize from the day one, when you start your period, that word menopause is there.
Yeah.
Right? And then it goes up to the perimenopause. Now, your perimenopause prepares your body for that journey into menopause. That is where you will, some people get signs and symptoms, and there are 101 symptoms.
Like literally 101, or this is just how we say, okay, that's what I'm saying, because we use the term 101 as in terms of infinity sometimes. So I just wanted to clarify that. Just to show you how endless it is, and it's very vast indeed. You're quite correct. Very, very vast.
And so the age group is 35, going all the way up to, and in your 40s until about 51, when you have your last period, meaning you go 12 months without a period, and then you go into menopause. Now, sometimes, from what we understand and the research that we have done in terms of talking to other people, your period comes back. So sometimes people will go 3 years.
Right.
And then the period will just come back one day.
Surprise.
Yes, like a surprise. But once it is, we understand. And you see, menopause is not something to say that you're getting old.
Right.
It's just that, we have to look at it differently. It is about your body preparing itself, because if you do not take care of your body and the signs that your body is showing you, you can end up in the long run with heart disease, bone health issues, mental health issues, etc. So it is just letting you know, hey, you have taken care of everybody in the past, all your children, your family, everyone. And it's now time for you to start taking care of yourself.
So in terms of understanding the menopausal transition, I'm seeing here, of course, just like what you were saying just now, It's a point in time 12 months after a woman's last period, the years leading up to that point when women may have changes in their monthly cycles, hot flashes, and other symptoms called the menopausal transition or perimenopause, which is exactly what you were just saying, and that the menopausal transition most often begins between the ages 45 to 55, and that's just about roughly, that's just putting it there roughly, but as you mentioned, because I do have a girlfriend in the US whose menopause started already, not peri, her menopause started at 32. So we know that the ages are shifting because of lifestyle, the duration, and they're saying here that it usually lasts about 7 years, but that is not necessarily so because it could be as long as 14 years. And this is the reality that we need to face. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you, but is it what you're talking about, the 14 years? Is it
the duration of the menopause? Yeah, the
menopausal
period.
No, you never stop being in menopause because that is when your ovaries don't work anymore.
Yeah. So that the duration can depend on lifestyle factors such as the smoking, age, it begins the race, and according as well to your race and ethnicity. During perimenopause, the body's production of estrogen and progesterone, two hormones made by the ovaries, varies greatly. And of course, the factors that we discussed, we mentioned before, in terms of the age that it begins and the race and ethnicity plays a lot on that. And of course, our medical practitioners will be there to tell us when we go to the gynecologist. They will be there to tell us, hey, this is exactly what you need to be prepared for. But I want to speak specifically, Gillian, because of course time is of the essence. I want to speak specifically in terms of you and your peers and other women in the community, the wider community. We are faced with this. We still have to live. We have to work. We have to socialize. We have to have sex. We have to do all of these things. How are we managing with this? How do we teach not just our male counterparts, but our family members, our loved ones, our friends? How do we teach people how to embrace this part of us? Because people, we've heard it several times, not with ourselves only, but when we looked at our mothers, we say, oh gosh, why are you sweating? So you're going through menopause? And sometimes people joke about it, but it's really no joking matter because it's something that you're going through. It's very painful psychologically as well as physically. So let's really touch on those parts and how we are able to manage with that, those various, specific sectors in terms of work. How were you dealing with that at work?
All right. So for me, I started with researching my symptoms because I had no idea what it is I was going through.
Right.
And I thought I was going crazy. So what I did was I researched and I realized, well, these are the things that are going to affect my work. The brain fog, not being able to see the computer properly, all those things.
Right.
And there's nothing in place in the office space for women who are going through this. So I was taking a lot of time off. And, management would not be that understanding, right, in terms of that. So I left my job, just plain and simple.
Just to be able to manage. Right, got you.
I had no choice. But through this group, what we are trying to do is to educate, do research, and advocate. And we're going to really reach to the point where that we are going to make suggestions to the women in the workplace, time off, schedule times in terms of maybe work from 6 to 3, depending on your work schedule.
Right.
Work from home, all of these things that we would love for the public and private sector to implement in the workplace. But we have to educate them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in conjunction with the medical practitioners who will really firm that up, I'm pretty certain we will get to that point eventually. And what about like on the social scene now? You're out, you're hanging out with friends, and just because we talk about mood swings as well. So how does that affect your relationships in terms of the social space? A lot of women talk about that. They just don't feel like doing anything. My clothes feeling tight. I'm not feeling to dress anymore. I just put it on weight. Oh my gosh. So how are we dealing with that? Are we telling our friends in advance, hey, this is this time of my life? And because we do have friends from different age groups as well. So as you said before, it's all about the education aspect of it. And so if you sit this one out, if I say I want to sit this one out, please don't hold it against me. I just really can't make tonight.
Correct.
You know?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so the group is giving you a safe space that you can vent and talk about all the things that are happening to you. You don't, and it affects you in so many ways. Your sex drive. Sometimes you don't want your husband to touch you. You don't want, to be around anybody. You don't want to talk to anybody. You just want to be home. And nothing is wrong with that. Because it is just a period that you're going through. So once it is, you talk to your healthcare provider and you demand that they listen to you when you're telling them about menopause. There are things out there that can help.
Right. And a lot of natural stuff too, in terms of natural things that we could use to aid us along. Now, I wanted to also touch on, we're talking about educating other people, educating ourselves as well, so that we will know how to prepare ourselves mentally and physically for it. But in terms of making adjustments, your mindset, sometimes we say, okay, this I'm going through menopause, so you all just deal with it. But these are people too. The people in our community, there are people as well. So we want to make sure that we balance the scales. So what kinds of and based on the conversations that have been happening in that chat group on Facebook, MENO-TT, have you all come across that where you yourself said, okay, I've realized that I've been a little bit aggressive. Let me see if I could make some adjustments here, because we don't want to tell people, yes, it's menopause, so just deal with it. We too have to make those adjustments. So what are some of the things that you would suggest to our listeners?
All right, so mindfulness in terms of understanding. And the more you educate yourself, the more you do the research, you will understand how to be able to calm yourself in terms of your breathing exercises, your yoga, all those things play an important part in how you're feeling. But as I said, you have to learn to do these things. It doesn't come overnight.
It doesn't. And give yourself the time to understand that. Give yourself the time to go through that process. Yeah. No, we spoke about the dancing at the beginning, because dancing heals everything. And I make no joke and no apology when I say that. I came in here feeling really, really weak this morning. I played my favorite song and I'm feeling a little bit better now, but it's dancing really does help. And so we encourage you ladies, even if you have to do it by yourself. Billy Joel says it all the time. Dance by yourself. Put on your favorite music. Wind down to the ground if you have to. But it is important to find the ways to deal with this part of life. And Gillian, I want to go back to a part where you mentioned it's not going through menopause does not mean that you're getting old, because some women get offended when you say, oh, well, you're probably going through perimenopause, or you're going through menopause. From somebody who knows, and when you share that information, some women get offended. It's like, I'm not ready for that yet. What are you saying? I myself am guilty of that at times. So how do we say to ourselves, okay, they probably identified certain things in my behavior, in the way that I move, so it's time for me to start doing the research, time for me to start preparing my body for that, and putting certain things in place. It's a whole lifestyle change, wouldn't you say?
Correct. Yes, it is. Now, the youngest person that we encountered that is going through menopause is 13 years old.
13?
And that is surgically, 1-3. Not in Trinidad, though, but yes, and it was surgically done, because I'm in surgical menopause, right? So menopause is just...
Explain that part for me.
Clean. You can't have children anymore.
No, but surgical menopause. Surgical means it's done by a doctor.
Correct.
Okay, so how... Okay, explain that part for me.
All right, so with the surgical part is that when they remove, like, your ovaries, your fallopian tube, your cervix, everything. So that is what...
So if you do a hysterectomy, you automatically go into menopause. So that's what they call surgical menopause. Okay, gotcha.
So you could see menopause doesn't have an age, really, if you look at it. In terms of you can do surgery, whether it's based on cancer, fibroids, whatever it is, and you can go into surgical menopause.
Right. Well,
but it does not have to do with you getting old and you're cold.
No. Boy, these old sayings that people tend to go to in a moment of when they have nothing better to say, kind of thing. But so I want to thank you, Gillian, for sharing this part of it, and the part where you had to take a stand for yourself. You said you ended up having to leave your job so you can be able to manage yourself in this situation, in this part of your life, not a situation, but in this part of your life's journey. And funny enough, I have Nikki Crosby coming in tomorrow to talk about her show that's coming up 50-ish, and she will be speaking about her experience with menopause as well. It's called Hot as F. And so I urge you and the team at MENO-TT to tune in tomorrow at 9 o'clock as well, because we'll be chatting with Nikki about that. And thank you so much for creating the group and sharing this information. I think our listeners, our female listeners out there, it is important for us to share with each other these experiences, whether it's things that we find in common or new experiences that we have discovered. It is important to share that, so we'll be a little more understanding, a little more gentle with each other in our approach. But more importantly, as the person experiencing menopause, we have to do our research and make sure that we're not really just coming off as aggressive to people. We have to manage that as well. At the end of the day, we're all human beings, and menopause or not, we have to be in a space where we could all get along peacefully. Yeah. And so thank you so much for that. Again, wishing you the best with the group, and I hope that more women are encouraged to join MENO-TT. It's a Facebook group, a private group, so you have that level of privacy with your sharing, so you can check them out. And of course you have, because it's a private group, you have some questions that you need to answer and guidelines that you need to follow in terms of what you share and how you share it in the group. So I wish you guys the very best. So let's continue to support each other, empower each other as women, and thank you for that.
Thank you very much for having me.
Gillian Smith-Trumpet of MENO-TT, championing the cause for menopause and finding the ways in which we can manage it. And according to Lizzo, who's coming up right now, it's about damn time that we had this conversation. Jill, enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, my love.
Take care. Cheers to you. Bye. So that was MENO-TT sharing with us some information about how we handle peri, menopause, and post-menopause. It's all about life, ladies. Let's do this. Here's Lizzo.
It's bad, it's o'clock, yeah, it's thick 30. I've been through a lot, but I'm still flirty.